As we come into the final week of the race for Nashville's next mayor, the numbers are as tight as ever, and every candidate's trying to make themselves stand out in the polls. So we asked News Channel 5's Todd Walker to crunch those numbers and see where the candidates really stand. It's a report all new at 10.
We asked all the candidates to send us their internal polling, and here's what they sent us. You'll notice that some of these are not the most recent polls, but they are what the campaigns want us and want you to see. And as you look across the board, you will see there are a few trends. Bill Freeman, #1 in all of these polls, and then also in all these polls, a virtual dead heat for that coveted #2 spot to get into the runoff election. More than half of the candidates within the margin of error to get to that #2 spot. So we asked News Channel 5 political analyst Pat Nolan what that might mean as we head to election night.
One of my dreams, nightmares, thoughts is that I'm going to show up election night at Channel 5 and we're going to put the results on the air, and all 7 candidates have 14% of the vote, and we're fighting over the final 2% to decide who gets in the runoff.
So is that going to happen? Likely not, but if you look at all the campaign polls, you'll see that there are some candidates that are all over the board, and then there are others that there are some definite trends. Take a look at Megan Barry's poll from July 3rd. It has her trailing Bill Freeman by a few percentage points in the #2 spot. Charles Robert Bone, he has the same #1, #2, and himself in 3rd place. Him and David Fox are within the margin of error, though, of that #2 spot. And then David Fox, he has the most recent poll out from July 27th. It has himself tied for #2 with Megan Barry at 18%, but that is all within the margin of error for the #1 and the #2 spot. David Fox has saved most of his media blitz for the last half of the campaign, so that may be giving him a surge. But there was some controversy about where the money for that surge is coming from, and that was coming out as this poll was being conducted. So this may not necessarily reflect reality. Bill Freeman has been #1 across the board, and on July 15th, this poll showed him up by the widest margin of all at 24%. Then Linda Eskin Reprovic sent us this poll from June 16th. It's rather old, but it showed her within the margin of error for that #2 spot.
Usually, it appears to me the way these polls have been released, there are messages in these polls. Usually the message has been, hey, I'm a viable candidate.
So here's what all the candidates are still squabbling over. Some relatively large undecided numbers still in the double digits, and we're just over a week away from Election Day. So they have that week to convince all of these people that they should vote for them. And as tight as everything is, anything could happen as we head into election night. Todd Walker, News Channel 5 HD.
Well, Todd, a lot of information there. Jeremy Kane's campaign did not respond to our request for any numbers, and Howard Gentry's campaign simply would not turn them over to us. Early voting ends Saturday. Election Day is next Thursday. Only the top 2 candidates will head to the September runoff election.